And I felt like God was saying, why are you asking for permission to do something that I've already equipped you?
If you're a parent and you don't know what to give up for Lent, you're not paying attention to your life.
Yes, that's really antithetical to what I feel artistry is.
You know, one of my favorite examples of female heroism is from the book of Exodus.
Are you, by any chance, playing a song because I'm a musician?
No.
No.
This is how I sell myself.
Every podcast.
Why do you think it's
Nice.
performative?
No, it's beautiful. I think it's great. It reminds me a little bit of my mum, who is very hospitable, and she has people over when she meets them at church, and like Malaysian, Indian. Every time she will cook their national dish for them.
That sounds like it could go wrong.
Well, it's mixed results, yeah.
I would feel very
But I love the guitar.
I would feel very nervous about cooking someone else's national dish.
Well, the good thing is she doesn't feel nervous about it, so...
She doesn't what?
Feel nervous about it.
I thought you said she doesn't film it.
No, she doesn't. That's another good thing.
Yeah. But we are filming this, and I pressed record for that whole thing. I don't know how it's going to sound, but
I think I finally learned the last line.
Oh, yeah?
The very end, so yeah.
Bear me away on your snow white wings to my immortal home.
I thought it was kind of like oh, blow the man down, but it was like an Easter song.
Yes. So, well, that's the Hillbilly Thomists, and basically they do that style, that hillbilly kind of rough and raw. And it's really interesting because, but they do it with Christian songs. They do a few covers as well, but they do it with they make it, and it's really good theology in it. And I find those are kind of my praise and worship, and it gets me in the right headspace. And actually, something that I'll hopefully get into with you in a minute is like how the music can be really healing. In very like often, I've come home from work and it's been like a very traumatic shift, and just the words. I can't. It's the words, but it's not. If you spoke those words to me, it wouldn't be the same as if you sung it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I really enjoy them, and actually, I really enjoy your music as well.
Thank you.
How long have you been going? Because I've known you for as long as I've known Dom, at least, and it was.
This is the other Dom. By the way, am I supposed to call you Dom or Dominic? I never know.
Well, call me what you like. I've been called all sorts over my life.
Because I call my brother Dom, and that feels very familiar, and I'm not a nicknamer. So to call you Dom is like, if you want to be called Dom, I'll call you Dom.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But,
Dom works.
Dom's good. Yeah, Dominic feels like it was you 12 and under.
Yeah, maybe. That's the full name version.
That's the full name. Okay.
But
so you've known my brother Dom, and I was doing music before that, was I?
I imagine. Because I'm saying I met Dom when I was in the chaplaincy, and that was a long time ago. I left the chaplaincy 6 years ago, and he was in the last batch, and so that was maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, at least.
And we had our own podcast then.
That's right, when you had more time and fewer children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't stopped me. This is the 4th rendition of me being a podcaster.
Yeah, you're doing well. Yeah, so, I mean, I've been doing music. It's been a long journey. I would say over 16 years. Mm-hmm. It's funny when you kind of put it in a narrative. It's definitely been a meandering kind of narrative. I started doing music, actually, with a producer who was from an EDM heavy metal background.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was just at the point I was working as a teacher, and I also wanted to get into music kind of for fun. So it was just the stage of like, hey, let's figure out if we can make something happen. So the whole thing was a bit of compromise between what I wanted musically and what he wanted. And that was a phase. It was a phase. I think I don't look back on any of those times and think, oh, they were unnecessary, or I wish I hadn't done it.
Right.
But where I am now is very different.
I think that is a process with most projects. There is an element of you have to do something that you don't want to do in order to get to the place that you want to do, because that bit that you don't want to do teaches you the skills that lead you to the, the
sort of like refinement of what it is you want to do,
or just teaches you the process of it, the routine of it, the gets it into your bones.
Yeah, I've had to learn a lot about working with producers. Definitely, as an artist, everything's very personal. You're speaking from your soul, so you know what you want to say at least. If not as well, how you want to sing it. Producer though, many producers have a lot of creative input, so that's been a lesson for me. Just like this is a team thing, and there's often a tension, and it's if you can sit with a tension, you can keep going.
Right. Yeah.
If you can't, you tend to walk away from it and give up on the industry.
Yeah, because they say that a lot with entrepreneurship. They say, this business isn't working, I'm going to move on to the next business. And actually the reality is, it's not that the business isn't working, it's that it started to get too difficult, so people generally give up and start again. Whereas if you can sit through that tough part, you'll make them bigger success. And I suppose that happens on a creative level as well. But I think it's just growing pains, really.
It is growing pains, and it's compromise pains. I never thought I'd have to compromise as a musician. And I think just realizing that, hey, this is a business, really, like everything else. People want to make money, and they're not going to back you if they can't make money. So if I can't accept that, then I'm choosing to live under a rock,
Because there's the authenticity element. I remember early on when I was playing guitar, and being the person I am, if I can't perform what I'm doing, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I've now got into fishing. But I was doing performances and I was writing songs, and then some guy was like, "If you change a few words, we can make these Christian." I was like, "These are my songs. I'm not changing the words, and I don't have an album." But like,
and I don't have plans for an album.
Yeah. Well, actually, I do have an album recorded somewhere. I don't know where it is though.
I didn't know about this.
Oh well, this is.
Is it sort of lost on GarageBand or like SoundCloud?
It was never published. It was just recorded, and it's when I was back in London and I was working with this guy who was going to be starting a Catholic radio station, and so anyone that had any musicality about them whatsoever, he was like, "I'm going to record your music." And so I went to a recording studio, recorded the whole album. He paid for the whole thing, and it's on. I hope it's on my computer that's currently not switching on, because then I can still revive it.
You can still revive it. Yeah, I know the feeling. We have our wedding photos on a computer like that. But yes.
Oh no. But yeah, so the reason I said I felt that you've been in music for a long time is just because I know your family, and you come from Nelson, which is that's
the Sweden,
the Nashville of New Zealand.
Of New Zealand, yeah.
all the musicians come from Nelson, and
That's
true. So, and Dom started the stations, and he's had Reinhardt music and all this other stuff, and I've listened to, I think, all of your sisters, at least I've listened to them all in some sort of musical sense sing.
Von Trapp family.
Yeah. Well, Dutch as well, right?
We're Dutch as well, yes.
So yeah, I assume I just feel like, you've been in music forever because you're associated with Dom, and therefore, as long as I've known Dom, he's been recording music.
I have been in music forever. It's something that I can't imagine my life without it. I think having children, I've undervalued the need for them to learn music as I did, because I was just immersed in it. It wasn't like I had to learn everything.
Like a fish in water.
Consciously. But yeah, I think the desire, like all of my siblings are musical, and some of us have more of a desire to sort of to make something of that. And for me, that was always there. I think after I worked with the EDM producer, which was great learning, I thought I would try my hand sort of in like the secular music world, not necessarily releasing secular music, but I worked with, I won't say his name, but a manager who's really high profile and manages a lot of the big producers and artists in New Zealand, but also around the world. So I thought this was my big shot.
Right,
and
it sounds it.
I kind of remember I crucialized every meeting with him because I just had to get it right. I I couldn't mess up. And I remember after quite a few sessions in the studio with the producers, working on songs together, I just felt like this is really depleting me. This isn't what I imagined. And I feel like, you know, you want to be authentic. I know part of that's a bit naive. You can't always be truly authentic if you want to appeal to the mass market.
Right.
But because I wanted to be authentic, I just found that I was writing songs that were for other people.
Right.
It wasn't really my story. It might have been my story like 10 years ago, like a breakup I had 10 years ago.
Okay.
Or it might have been a story of an argument with a parent when I was 20 years ago. But it didn't feel like truly my story. Yeah. And so I was releasing these songs which were fun to produce and catchy, and I would love to sing along to it if I heard it on the radio. But I just felt like, nah, I can't spend the rest of my life living like this.
Right.
And then also, it got to a point, I think one day I woke up. And you know I'm never someone who can hear God speaking audibly.
Okay.
Some people can, but there are moments in your life where it's as close to audible as it can be. So I sort of woke up one day just halfway between sleep and wakefulness. And I felt like God was saying, why are you asking for permission to do something that I've already equipped you to do? And wow. It was just like so clear. And it was just this sort of challenge. And I woke up and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm knocking on these doors and asking people to kind of give me permission to produce my music and to have it heard. And do I need to do this? I already felt like, no, I don't want to be controlled by someone who has a different agenda for my music than I had. And I ended up having a coffee with this manager, and it turned out we were kind of on the same page. He said to me, look, do you really want this? Because if you do, you need to travel back to back from city to city.
Right.
And that's grueling. And I have single young people who are finding this difficult. You've got 2 children. So do you want it? At which point it was just really clear. I was like, no, I don't want that.
Right, yeah.
Not because I can't handle it, but because it's not in accordance with the duties of my state in life right now. Yeah. It's not actually going to support that. So
yeah, that I'm on a bit of a reflective buzz at the moment. You know, being a podcaster, I'm always thinking about certain topics, and we're in Lent. And my last episode 2 weeks ago was basically Exodus 19, other programs like that are a waste of time. Yeah. Just focus on your lot in life and sacrifice accordingly. And, you know, you talking about that line from God. That's a great line. What a line. What a line. Why are you asking permission for the things I've already equipped you to do? It's like, oh, mate, that's just... So, like, I can't quite articulate what I'm thinking right now, but
it's a bit of a gut punch in a way.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, for everybody, you know, you have been called to a certain level of life, and I'm relating it to all these programs of, like, you know, you're going through Lent, and these programs are like, you know, cold showers, off your phone, more prayer, this, that, the other, and my hot take with that is, if you're a parent and you don't know what to give up for Lent, you're not paying attention to your life. You know, what is stopping you from being a parent? It's probably your phone. It's probably spending too much time in the shower. But there's a difference between not going on your phone because an app told you to, and not going on a phone because you're looking to be a better version of yourself.
That's so true. Yeah.
And you know, you have been equipped. You know, being part of the Von Trapp family with this musicality. And you know, but it's scary jumping out into this area. Yeah. And what would you say success is for a Christian? Because you touched on it there, like, the music industry is a machine, and you just churn things out, and you're gonna go. I saw a video the other day of Ed Sheeran writing a song with somebody, and it was amazing because they were like, oh yeah, well that's a good line, we'll use that, and like within a span of like half an hour, which they fit into like a 2-minute clip, they write a song, and it was a good song. And then but part of me is like, okay, where's the authenticity, where's the soul, where's the message. And like obviously there is a message. They are telling a story, but it is just
it's a brainstorm.
Yeah.
You know.
And like I see even like Christian guys is like this guy like they did a spin of wheels like which psalm are we making a song out of?
Yeah.
Which style are we doing it in? And they did like a Mumford and Sons style song in Psalm 51, and it sounded awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also that's just churning things out.
It really is. That's really antithetical to what I feel artistry is. That's how I felt. Working with some of these managers was like, we get put in a cell, we get put in a studio for 4 hours, we have to come up with a song. I'm like, if you read the book Atomic Habits, they talk about these two different ways of thinking. I can't remember exactly how he describes it, but it was sort of like there's the flow state and there's like the focus state, so the white knuckling. That's what I was doing, so white knuckling, trying to force these ideas out of myself. And then there's the other part of the brain where you can only come up with certain ideas when your brain is relaxed and not actually white knuckling and trying to focus on getting an outcome. And that's usually where music comes from, definitely for me. And because that's drawing from a deeper reserve of all the experiences that I've had over the last week, year, whatever, you know. So yeah. So I don't like that style. I think if you're in the money making business for music, sure, do it. And then there's ChatGPT, and I'm sure you can do music with that.
AI music nowadays, eh?
But yeah, so what is success? That's the question you asked me.
Yeah.
It's such a big question, like to answer it from a secular point of view, from a Christian point of view, from a Catholic point of view. I feel like the answers are all different.
Because I feel like from a secular point of view, if you're looking at it objectively, it is, going platinum, selling out an arena.
Yeah.
And there's different ways of doing that, again, back to Ed Sheeran. Apparently I follow him because all my references are from clips I've seen of him. And basically he says that he makes his tickets cheap, so he sells out all arenas because it's more about having a good time than it is about having a good bank balance at the end.
You are responsible for your algorithm, dog.
Yeah. But in doing that, he's also gained the worldly success of actually he is getting these record numbers on the money side of things.
And I think success can include all of those things. I guess, boiling it down, I'd say it's doing all things with love. And that's pretty broad, and it's hard to figure out what that means. Yesterday, I was thinking about this in a different way, which was like, hey, most of my time isn't spent in the studio or doing social media. It's spent cleaning the sink, mopping, mopping under the table, doing everyone else's laundry, and that's not success, but that is my normal life. And I think our natural temptation, and also the lie of secularism or maybe nihilism, is that nothing matters, that nothing's really worthwhile. Whereas I think with Christianity, the truth is that everything matters when it's done with love. So for me, I've been learning to see success as not just the pinnacle, like the end result. Like, I'm also not like, hey, it's all about the journey. I don't like that.
Right.
But I think it is much more about the journey than I like to.
Yeah. Have you heard the Mexican fisherman story?
Probably not.
So the story goes like this: there is a bit like a top businessman from the corporate world on holiday in Mexico, walks on the beach. He sees a Mexican fella fishing.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Oh, so how do you live your life?" He says, "Like, I come out to the beach, catch a few fish, take them home to my family. We eat, we dance, we sing, we go to bed, and start the next day the other way around." And the CEO goes, "Well, if you caught more than you needed, then you could sell a few, and you could buy a boat, and then you could get more fish."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, so why would I do that?" It's like, well, once you got a boat, you could get more fish, you could sell more fish, and then you could get a second boat and employ your friends, and then you could be providing food for everyone. You could eventually create a corporate entity.
Yeah.
And he says, "Okay, why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would I do that?" And then he says, "Well, then when you're a CEO, you can come relax on the beach, catch a few fish, and come and eat them with your family, dance and sing."
Yeah.
And I feel that the teaching that people get from that is, there's no point in trying. It's like, you're only going to end up back where the poor person is anyway.
Yeah.
But it's kind of what we were touching on earlier, is like you have to go through that boring trudgery in order to get to the point you want to be at. So, because the state of life of those two people is like, this CEO has created value for hundreds of, maybe thousands of people by providing, in this case, fish and jobs and infrastructure. And even if it brought him right back to that beach where he was catching fish, he's now doing it from a different perspective.
That's true.
And so, you're talking about how it's in those little things, it's in the process. Yeah. It's like the process is super important.
Yeah, the process is important. I think, Mother Teresa says, God doesn't ask success of us, he asks faithfulness. I truly believe that. And as someone who, probably because I'm neurodiverse, I find the mundane process just really hard. Hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's my cross in this life, is like, hey, do the small things faithfully and do it with love. And that's my success for today. I might not have a song out today, but I have succeeded today. But at the other side of things, I'm also interested in your story about ending up on the beach. I feel like that's still quite secular, because what it's saying is that success is really not having to work, whereas we do, as Catholics especially, value work, because we are stewarding creation, we're stewarding society, our families. So like to say my success is basically being able to opt out of society again. I'm not sure about that either, but I know what you mean. You're saying it's from a different motive. When you're on the beach, you've created value for other people.
Well, like also like this, what's important isn't the fact that he's ended up back on the beach, but that he's gone on a journey. So if there was a guy fishing and he was avoiding, he was still in the place of asking permission rather than doing the thing God gave him to, but is that I'm probably just going to end up here if I'm successful anyway. I'll just keep fishing. Sure. Yeah.
And that's like, you get to the parable of the talents, right?
Right.
He's not doing anything with talent.
Yeah, hiding it out of fear rather than spending it and risking it. And
and that's a challenge for me, like actually push to the edges of my capacity, because God doesn't want me to just have a cozy life. I truly believe that, not because he likes to see me suffer, but I believe that the Christian life is an adventure and a fight. Yeah. But I feel like you would agree with that too. Like you're actually looking probably more buff than I've seen you before. And clearly you're focusing on all aspects of who you are, not just your mind, your body. So I find that interesting. Like the fitness part, a lot of Christians can be dualistic and they can say, well, we just need to get to heaven, so we'll just feed our minds. We'll get a PhD or read scripture, and our body can just it can go to the back burner. But you're obviously not like that.
No, I guess my philosophy is, I'm still trying. There's a sweet spot that I haven't fully articulated yet, and I see the kind of both sides pulling in each direction. And I guess this is what I'm trying to get at with what we're talking about with regards to success, because there is that kind of grind culture, where you're like, just work hard, get success, and it's kind of what's the word? You're just punishing yourself. And there is gym culture, and I struggle with this with a lot of my Christian brothers, especially because a lot of them are like so scared of vanity they will not go to the gym.
Do you think that's really what they're scared of?
Hard work is what they're scared of. No, but like, well, you bring up the gym and then they say, and they've got all these arguments, which may hold water, but like ultimately I think it comes down to I just don't want to, and that's fine as well, because like we're not all called to be warriors. My parish priest often does a homily about the like kind of the virtuous violinist versus the non-virtuous warrior.
Who's your parish priest?
Father Jeremy.
Oh, he's great.
And,
versus.
And so, you've got a man who is objectively soft. He's not buff, he's got soft fingers, maybe some calluses from doing the violin. Yeah. And his time is spent thinking maybe of higher things, or at least of music. Whereas you've got the guy who's really strong and disciplined in the gym, but outside of the gym, he's a ladies' man, kind of womanizer, and he's not living a virtuous life. It's like, on the outside, you might say that guy looks weak and pathetic, and this guy looks like he's disciplined and strong. He's obviously the better guy. However, and I think people,
both of them are actually working at mastering themselves in different ways.
Well, the argument is, if you're not living virtuously, it doesn't matter how much you can bench press.
Yeah.
In fact, you'd be better to not be able to lift a 10 kg weight if you were more virtuous, because then you would stand up for the right things. You would defend those who are weak. But I don't think that's an accurate analogy from what I've seen of gym culture.
I'm getting the gist of the story. I actually have another question for you, because I watched a bit of this documentary, not suggesting anyone does, but inside the Manosphere. How would your Catholic concept of masculinity differ from the guys inside the Manosphere, like Justin Thoreau? I feel like that's a very extreme depiction of hypermasculine people. They kind of want to imply that every hypermasculine or every remotely masculine guy wants to be like these guys. I feel like that's not true.
So I think from my perspective, especially when it comes to Manosphere, I think it is the way one of my favorite commentators puts it, it's 2 cheers for Manosphere, not 3 cheers. But 2 cheers for the Manosphere, because I think it is a corrective thing. It's recognizing a real problem, and maybe in some instances it's overcorrecting. However, it's like, money's not the root of all evil, but how you use the money. Then it's like, I'm not going to earn lots of money because it might corrupt me. It's like, okay, so how are you going to provide for your family? It's not bad to have money. It's bad to have money and use it badly.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be a reconnection with a more, I guess, rugged kind of masculinity, which comes from using your body, because there is a distinct difference between men and women, and one of those differences is men are created for battle. Their bodies are there to be used for manual labor and protection.
Yeah.
And if you're not in that state, if you're not in a place where you can do that, it's better to be prepared for war and never have to be like the warrior in the garden rather than the gardener in the war.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're not, and within your ability as well, if you're not preparing your body so that you're physically capable to chase after the guy that's trying to steal your children, or that you are able to lift heavy things off people or for people, then there's an element of you that you're missing out on. And I always struggle with people like G.K. Chesterton, who was famously overweight and not very healthy looking.
I struggle with that too.
But he is, people are like, we should beatify him because he's lots of good things up in his head, and he wrote lots of good things. So, but again, that comes back to the violinist thing. Yeah. The physical health isn't the ultimate, and also we are human. There was a quote from a saint, I've forgotten his name, but I heard it recently, and I thought it was brilliant. He said, what is it? So it was something like, I may be a fornicator, but I'm not a heretic. And this is a guy who is a saint.
Right. Yeah, okay.
So I gamble and I lust after women.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go against the truth.
Yeah. I'm not gonna let that determine my morality. Selective ethics kind of thing. I hear what you're saying. I feel like that's an interesting documentary. It's worth watching, and the joke's on us if we can't identify what's contributed to these men wanting to be like extreme versions of hypermasculine kind of.
Yeah, and seek the truth where there is truth. And so they are trying to do something. It's like, Andrew Tate, he goes after Islam because Islam is kind of this more kind of masculine energy of, oh, you're not gonna say something bad against me. We're gonna get you for that. It's like, okay. However, Islam isn't good, and it's the wrong area, but then it also leads him down the wrong route of I can have more women, then I can have more children. That's good. It's like, no, you're half right. Having more children is good.
You're saying something that you think is good and worth pursuing, and then you're just going for the whole package.
Because there was this interview with Andrew Tate and George Janko, and basically Andrew Tate comes at him and says, "What do you think of this?" And then George Janko just quotes scripture to him, and Andrew Tate has nothing. He's like, "Oh shit, he's right,"
Yeah.
And so like, and I think you can always come around. There's no every sinner has a future, every saint has a past.
Has a past, yeah, that's so true.
And so we need to pray for these guys, but we don't need to say it's too simplistic to say, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the gym and learn how to fight because Andrew Tate does that and he's a sinner."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have no time for him.
I'm not going to go and consume any Manosphere content because those people are womanizers.
Yeah, I actually think that's a really good cautionary tale of what happens when we're in a society that's saturated with anti-men. Like, seriously, I have 4 boys and I've learned so much about what boys need. The things I thought I'd have to sort of like censor in films are not what I expected. So yeah, there might be violence and swearing in that, but the biggest thing is, and there are so many films, Disney, Netflix, where the woman is the heroine. And that's okay. It's okay if it's representative, but it's actually like 95% of films.
Right.
And the other problem is that the man is the handbag. They're like the coward. Quite, like Frozen.
Yeah.
Just all of it. Like, and it's just, I'm like, one, this is just not truthful. This is not how most men are. So I don't want to expose. And the other thing is, like, how is this helpful for my child?
Yeah.
For my boys to be seeing this all the time. Like, I think that's a problem.
Yeah, Bishop Barron calls it the homosensification of masculinity. Like, the man is the stupid guy.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I got really fed up with it with the last 3 Star Wars with the characters Flynn and the other guy. Basically, those guys could have been. They were like, this is the best fighter pilot, and this guy is he was trained to be a soldier in the Imperial, and then all of a sudden like, yeah, but I don't know what to do, or like they're really goofy.
Yeah.
And like Thor in the last Thor movie, there was this one scene where Thor was being kind of called on to be the leader, and he just kind of makes a joke out of it instead.
Yeah.
And like he starts really good, and then he's like, oh, but I've got to be funny, so I'll do something funny, and then the female Thor kind of takes
it's the goof,
over.
And it's always at the expense of men. It's sort of to promote women, but the problem is, I think this does a disservice to women as well, because it doesn't celebrate a lot of our essential characteristics and strengths. This is a perfect example, I think, for me, walking through department stores and seeing girls' clothes and like sweaters that will say things like brave, courageous, leader, boss. And I'm like, okay, but one, I'm not seeing boys' sweaters that say nurturing, cooperative, influential, relational, and neither are we seeing that for girls. So we're not celebrating just this whole raft of, I think, really intrinsic qualities that God has given women. And so we're kind of, it's anti-men, but it's also anti-women. It's a losing battle, and it's, divided house. Cannot stand, but...
And it's coming back to that, like, working with what God has created you to be.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a nurse. One of the most famous nurses is Florence Nightingale, and she revolutionized nursing by her leadership, by how she took control of the situation, and she reduced mortality. I can't remember which war it was in, by 60% by introducing certain things.
Such an incredible story,
and they were feminine things. It was making sure that people had good books, that they were getting their letters sent out to their family and returning the letters, and it was things that like nurture the soul, not just like more push-ups.
Yeah.
Like there's the famous kind of, you see it on the internet a lot. It's like, why are women? Like, men are so simple. This is like a man's flat who lives on his own. It's like an inflatable chair and a TV. And it's like, I can sleep on the chair, I can sit on the chair, and I can watch TV. What else do I need? Yeah. And then women like get angry at that. It's like, yeah, because you could make it so much better. And there's no denying that, a woman makes a house a home.
That's so true.
And
are men really that simple?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Like,
I'll never understand.
And I think this is why women get so frustrated with men. Because we just accept things as they are. It's like, I always have this thing, is I don't see mess when there is mess. So if my wife puts 2 or 3 things on the table, I was like, oh, that's where things go now.
Sure. Yeah.
And she's like, no, I put those down and I know I'm going to clean them up later.
As a visual reminder for someone to put them away. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going back to that that permission over acting out as you're supposed to be. There are things, and like things can, like, yeah, okay, I guess what people are trying to point at with, you know, putting women in the lead and men beneath is like, yeah, some women can lead, you know, and some women can be CEOs, but like that's not a female thing, because like the corporate world is a man's world, because in order to create that sort of structure, men would do something like that. The female structure would look completely different. And it's not saying that you can't run a business, but if you're going to run a business, you're going to do it, you're going to have masculine traits about you.
The problem I have with this push for women to lead at the expense of men, it's is not that I don't think women can lead. I think there are plenty of good women leaders, and we need good female leaders. It's more where it comes from, right? And the idea is Marxism. And so the central tenet of Marxism is that there is no right or wrong in the world. Really, the only thing worth doing in life is trying to get more power for yourself. Right. And that's what makes you a worthwhile person, is if you have a degree of power. If you are a worker and you have no rights, you're not worth anything. So like I really think that's so insidious, the Marxist idea that, you know, it's basically you're only worth something if you, one, can overthrow power, and two, replace it with yourself. And so I think when we see feminism through the Marxist lens of women are not worth really anything unless they can say, hey, I'm a boss, I'm in a position of power, I think that's dangerous. It doesn't help either women or men.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples of female heroism is from the book of Exodus. And it's the Pharaoh's wife. Yeah. And what's so wonderful about it is without her, there is no chosen people, because the Israelites are slaves. And then she sees a baby, and her feminine instinct is to look after that baby, make sure.
I've never thought of that.
So she takes down the Pharaoh.
Yeah.
She accepts this baby and grows him into, and then God uses that. And that's the female heroism. That's the female fight of, no, I'm going to look after the right person, and I'm going to influence the person that's in charge.
That's so true.
And it's the background work.
You also see that actually with Mary and Jesus, the very first miracle, right? Mary's the one who sees the problem, that there's not enough wine. And probably because of her feminine instincts, was bring it to Jesus, like, hey, there's not enough wine. I know what this means for them. This is suicide. And so because of her intercession, Jesus works his first miracle. I mean, I think that's such a fascinating story, but I also think, let me rant for a bit, like,
Go for it.
as a mother of boys, I think it's a beautiful example of how a woman needs to empower her son to like step back and empower him to do what he's called to do. So like many people will interpret that scripture differently, you know, where Jesus says, woman, what does this have to do with me? Like, it's disparaging when you look at what the word woman means and how beautiful it is. And instead of her saying, okay, all right, that's fine, it's your world, she says, go and do as he tells you to the servant. So you know, that could be interpreted as, oh, mum's just vetoing me. You know, but actually I see, as a mother of boys, I see it as the mother saying, I believe that you can do this. And that's huge when we know that Jesus went into whole towns where he couldn't work miracles because there wasn't enough faith. The only person in the room at that time in his life that knew what Jesus was capable of was his mother. And so if her faith was strong enough to say, go and do what they tell you, then, you know, that's the faith that kind of perhaps enabled him to step into his ministry, which I think is really huge. I as a mum, I really learn from that scripture, because I think I need to do that for my boys. I need to give them a sense of, you can do this, not I can do this for you, or you can do this when you do it my way. You know, it's just like there's something in you that God has given you to be able to do what you're called to do.
I think this brings to a really good point to bring up your single that's coming out.
Yeah.
And just your music broadly, something that... Which direction to it? Because I've got a question that I might start with this question.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might...
It's fine, we can edit that.
So, no, I'll go with the other way. Your single that's coming out, it's on forgiveness.
It is.
And you've done a few posts on your Instagram page about the inspiration for this. And so we're talking about this kind of feminine move. And again, like, we say all these things, but like, if using the... If a man saved a baby, he wouldn't then be a woman, even though that might be a more feminine thing to do. Mm-hmm. If a man realized the seriousness of them running out of wine and then asked someone to get more wine, that wouldn't it wouldn't make them feminine, but it's a more feminine thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And forgiveness is, I would say, a feminine virtue in the sense that if a masculine virtue is courageous, going out to war, battle, forgiveness is less of me. It's taking the wind out of the sails. It's working around the problem to solve the problem. It's the sacrifice play. No one's expecting it. A war's about to happen, and if the leaders came together and one said, "I forgive you," the war's over. And I feel like that's that similar feminine energy of, I'm going to enter into this and I'm going to touch the person. I'm going to engage with the soul.
I'm gonna do a power move that doesn't feel like a power move.
It feels very not
tips everything upside down.
What's the opposite of a power move?
I've never thought of it as a feminine thing. I think, and I don't want people to misunderstand us. I think the women and men do have different giftings, and women, and especially Pope John Paul speaks on like receptivity, sensitivity, and so I think forgiveness fits in with those giftings of sort of like being able to accommodate people and let them take up space in your life, and that's not a bad thing at all. We're called to nurture so many more people in our life, I think, than maybe our husbands are. I've never thought of it as a feminine thing, but it's definitely. So as my role model for the highest kind of example of femininity would be Mary. That is what she does. Her power move is kind of like, I'm just going to be humble. I'm going to say yes to God. I'm not going to like claw for my sons to be sitting on God's left and right hand. Like her whole life, and the theme of her whole life is that I'm here to accommodate Jesus and to say yes to him and to magnify his work. Forgiveness. I love this song. It's funny because I started writing it 3 years ago, and when I heard the word forgiveness, I often think yawn, boring, And C.S. Lewis says, forgiveness is a lovely idea until we have someone to forgive. And it feels like that. Yeah. It feels like kind of a Christian cliche. You're song about forgiveness.
I think the reason is, like that C.S. Lewis quote, is because forgiveness is a great idea until we have to live it, because it's attacking me.
Yeah.
It's taking something from me, whereas like war is, you're wrong, I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is, maybe if I take a step back and I don't engage and I bring them with me, we can diffuse this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's doing the counterintuitive thing. And I find, so the more I've been working on this song over the last 3 years, the more I've found reasons to forgive people, and it's not been fun. So, look, I'm going to tell someone else's story because that inspired me to write the song. Just really briefly, I encountered the testimony of this woman called Lakeisha Allen, and her life was miserable. She was born to a 13-year-old girl. She discovered that she didn't have a dad, and someone told her that her mum and her had the same father. So basically, she was the family secret. Her granddad was her dad. She grew up with a lot of shame, and not only that, her mum whipped her with extension cords and just couldn't handle her. She ended up in foster care. That was a terrible home. There was a drug dealer in the house, and she once remembers the foster care mum on the phone to the social worker saying, I am so sick of my check coming late. I don't work for free. You can have this girl back.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. Like, can you imagine a life like that? So, she ends up on the porch of this social care's trailer park office and all her worldly belongings in a trash bag, and then at one point, I think in her life after that, tried to, what do you say these days, sort of delete her life?
Oh, all right, yeah.
I don't know what people say on social media. Really. A whole bottle of pills, and for some reason the pills just all came back up. She tried to keep them down, and she believes that was God intervening in that moment. And God just spoke to her and said, Lakeisha, when you refuse to forgive your mother, you are refusing to forgive that 13-year-old girl who was abused. And so, that just spoke to me so much because I just think, well, that is so true for all of us and for the people we need to forgive. So yeah, at the age of 16, she forgave her mother for everything she'd ever done to her. And I just thought, wow, if she can do that, I can do that. So that's the inspiration.
Wow.
Behind the song.
Yeah, and I think that's the worst situation to be in. There's no two ways about it. Like, you couldn't have written it any worse. And it really gets you to the grips of what forgiveness is, but also the power of forgiveness. So how old is she now?
She's about 44.
44,
yeah.
And she's cracking on. And yeah, just it came with like holding a grudge is like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah.
And people can harm you and injure you, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And you've got two choices. You can either dwell in that pain, or you can heal that pain. And the healing isn't always the fun option. Like, people would rather live on a pill than, eat well, sleep well, exercise.
Yeah,
because that's a lifestyle change. And being angry also gives you a dopamine hit. Feeling justified in your anger.
Really does,
and
it's kind of closure.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll hold this grudge and
the
score will be settled.
And you can just, no one would say to Lakeisha would say to Lakeisha that, oh, no, you should forgive this person. They would agree with her. Yeah, I can see why you're angry.
Yeah.
However, the solution isn't holding that grudge. It's giving that away.
And that's so much easier said than done.
Oh, my
And I know that too. Like, I used to work with someone well over 10 years ago who, if I had to think of someone who I'd met in my life who could be a sociopath, it would be them.
Oh, wow.
And I just never worked with anyone like that, never since worked with anyone like that. There was just so much gaslighting. They loved catching me out, contradicting myself. When I ended up started dating my now husband, they would just find ways to pull them apart and to sort of question my choices. It was just incredibly hard because we were working so closely. Every decision was fraught with confrontation. And I prayed for this person, and then one day they showed me a photo of them as a child. I know this sounds creepy, but I took a photo of the photo on my phone. And it is creepy until I explain why I did it.
I'm bearing with you.
Just keep listening. I now realize it's actually a psychological kind of technique, which is called compassionate reframing. And it really helped me forgive this person. I heard his story over the years we worked together, and his life was just full of abandonment and abuse, and all the big people in his life had let him down. And I just look at that photo every time we'd had an argument, and I think, okay, I'm not just forgiving this big ugly 30-year-old in front of me. I'm forgiving this 7-year-old who was so vulnerable at the time that his attachments were being formed, and his conscience and his sense of right and wrong. This is the person he's speaking out of too, not just the adult. And that helped. Like, it really helps. you feel like you want to forgive someone. Sometimes you need help.
No, 100%. Yeah, and like remembering that they are a human.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to plug my laptop in. It's just told me.
That's fine. I'll quickly fill my. Do you want more water?
So yeah, you were talking about that reframing as a tool in order to help us forgive.
It's not a way of diminishing how we've been hurt, but I love what Bishop Barron says actually, which is that our ability to forgive someone is directly related to our accepting how much God has forgiven us. So
again, yeah, that's take the piece of wood out your own eye before criticizing someone else. And I think again, that's one of those things that is possibly used incorrectly, because people often think of it as, okay, yeah, I'm wrong, but how are you wrong? Maybe what it's getting at more is, can you really forgive somebody, or can you really? There's a line I've heard, I can't remember who it was, like, you're boozing me nothing because I've seen what you cheer for.
Can you repeat that? You're what?
Like someone's being booed.
Okay,
it's like, you're boozing me nothing because I've seen what you cheer for.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you're criticizing someone, it's like, oh, your criticism is only as powerful as your virtue. And so taking the piece of wood out, the log in your eye is actually, are you in alignment with God, and therefore are you actually in a place to criticize someone? And so when we're coming to forgive that person that has a log in their eye, pointing out the log in their eye might not be helpful, but realizing it's like, okay, they've got a log in their eye, they're probably not in the right place to attack me, I need to forgive that plight they made to me.
I think I've been trying to do reels on forgiveness to kind of promote the song, and there's so many angles, right? And one of the things I was working on was, okay, I do believe that God's commands make sense. Do you know when he says fast, like when you fast, do not blah blah blah. So we now know that fasting has massive health benefits, and that's amazing, and I think forgiving also does. So like we know Jesus has told us to forgive, but scientifically we can back that up too, and psychologically. Because whenever we hold a grudge, that activates the stress response in our body, which actually causes physical harm and, inflammation and ongoing health issues. So like, I can make a humanist argument for why people should forgive, but I just still feel like that comes up short when it comes to something really bad that's been done to you.
It misses that metaphysical element that is crucial. It's not just another perspective.
It's not just another perspective. It's kind of a little bit to get you along. If you're only feeling self-interested, then it's like, oh, maybe I'll forgive for myself just so that I don't have a heart attack. Okay, it gets you so far, But then to actually forgive because, we love the other person. Like, I think it's Augustine, is like, to love is to will the good of the other. So like, I think about people I have to forgive, and my love for them ebbs and flows. And so like, how much love really do I have that I will their good? And to get to a point of forgiveness would mean I have to have enough love to want that good, which part of that good involves me being in their life again, reconciling. So I think I've forgotten my train of thought. Sorry, just edit that.
That's all right. Well, you got me thinking about, I'm trying to remember this line again from the Hillbilly Thomists. It's like, everybody wants peace until they find out what it costs, essentially. And, in order to, it's okay, you could come up with a humanist argument for, oh no, forgiveness is good because of these reasons. And like, especially going into Lent this year, the whole fasting thing annoys me because I've lost 3 kgs, and I'm like, well, that's really good. But now am I fasting for the right reasons? I know. A lot of people, I went to a men's retreat a few weeks before Lent, and they were asking about fasting. It's like, what if I already only eat one meal a day? because people are already intermittent fasting, which is one meal a day. People are already on like carnivore or keto or something, so they're already going through that pain. And I kind of address this in what's going to be my next episode, when it's just me, is like, you know, your fasting is giving up something that's causing you pain. But coming back into what we're talking about is, you know, that metaphysical dimension is like, forgiveness has health benefits. The humanist argument is that it's like when you come to someone's house, greeting them and giving them a hug is a good thing. But if you're doing that because greeting them and giving them a hug is a good thing,
it's a polite
the hug is not a hug.
Yeah.
The hug is it's
a nicety.
It's a protocol.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I have to hug these people before I hug these people. And now, okay, hug.
Oh, yeah, I did that all my childhood. Definitely.
And well, as a child, it's fine because you're still learning how to be human. But if you're in your like 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're like, okay, I've come to so-and-so's house, my normal reaction would be to ignore these people. But it's their house, so I will hug them. Hug. Right, done that thing now. Let's do the thing that I actually want to do. It's like, okay, so that hug wasn't real. And actually, your forgiveness wasn't forgiveness. It was, that's right. It was biohacking.
It's so true. And so it falls up short, and it comes up short. And I think this is something I'm still wrestling with. Like, if it's true that our ability to forgive is directly linked to our acceptance of how much God's forgiven us, then that's a lifelong journey. Because I think most of us aren't fully aware of the magnitude of his love, as we see in sort of like Divine Mercy writings, just how much Christ has poured out love for us and how we are indifferent to that on a daily basis, right? If we really knew how we've rejected God, and this is what I put at the end of my song, is, you know, you have forgiven the greatest sin, our greatest sin, which is that we put you there on the cross, because of our rejection. And so I'm still getting there. I'm still understanding how much God has forgiven me, because some days I feel like I've kind of earned my life. It's not a gift, you know. And so like to get to that point of like, wow, God really has forgiven me. It's a tricky thing, because a lot of Christians would say, well, you're living in condemnation if you're always aware of of what you need to be forgiven for. And I think that's sort of a personal journey, isn't it? Are we living in condemnation, or are we living in a humble awareness of how much God's given us and how much we've rejected of that, and therefore how much he forgives us when he dies on the cross while we were still sinners, you know?
Well, I feel that comes into, again, like the idea of scrupulosity. I remember I was talking to a priest about how do you know if it's venial, how do you know if it's mortal, your sin, because there's three categories. I'm going to forget one. Yeah. Grave matter, full knowledge, and the third one.
Intent, isn't it?
Possibly. I can't
Grave
remember.
matter.
Yeah. And so, and like these things can be not easy to define. You can have full knowledge, but your will is damaged because it's a habitual sin. Yeah. You can have, you know, I don't know, intent but no knowledge or something, you know. Yes, that's right, and so like, you can always take one out and be like, okay, then it's venial. Right. And I think this gets back to the biohacking forgiveness. It's like, oh, if I forgive, then I'll have these health benefits. Well, that's missing the point. That's not forgiving people. And being aware of your sin, it's like the closer you are to God, the more aware you are of your sin. But then these people would say, but the more aware you are of your sin, the further away from God, because you're looking at yourself too much, maybe. That's possibly an argument they come up with. And there is that sweet spot. I suppose it's...
Well, I think maybe it's being aware and then being remorseful for your sin, right?
Well, also having an understanding of your sin, having an understanding of your reality. I'm a human. I'm going to make mistakes. I know what to do when I make a mistake. I know how to have recourse to God. And so, because the scrupulous person is, I'm in sin, I'm never forgiven. But the person, I guess the person closer to sainthood or living in virtue is, I'm a sinner, I have sinned, and I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to get forgiven, and I'm not going to sin again. I'm probably going to do this sin again because I'm a human and I'm sinful and I'm fallen, so and this is my weak spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to work to get around, but it's going to be like it's the difference is it's going to be, I intend to sin no more, which is going to mean it's going to be 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it's so true.
And having that kind of, and I feel like this is a frustration that I have, and it's coming back to the idea of like success. Of if I do all these hard things, I will have success. But the success I'm called to is to be a Christian, to be a father, to be a husband, to be a good nurse, to be a good podcaster, in your case, to be a good musician, but within the capacity that God wants that of you. I mean, I'm always looking at my analytics, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to make this the biggest podcast in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I feel God's called me to do podcasting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue faithfully.
And maybe it doesn't need to be the biggest podcast, just needs to reach the ears that need it.
And I get maybe 20 to 80 views normally on my long form content. Well, short form content does a lot better. But then, like, it comes back to the authenticity.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, someone asked me the other day, why do you want to forgive, why do you really want to forgive this person? Is it because you think you have to? And I was like,
ooh.
Well, that's an interesting question. I thought that if you knew me, and you have, you would know that that's not why I'm doing it. But it brings up a lot of thoughts, right?
Yeah, it's a good
so
question.
One, as a Christian, I do believe I have to, because that's what Christ has said.
Yeah.
Well, he's at least put a condition on it, right? If you forgive others, I will forgive you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I won't. And so, there's a bit of that, sure. Well, we should all have an ideal in our heads, right? My ideal is to forgive that person, but also I want to be restored into a right relationship with that person. And then you can have motives around self-preservation, like I just want everything to be normal again and for people not to hate me. I mean, you've got to sift through all your motives, but yes, partly I do want to forgive people because I have to, because it's not out of duty, but it's out of a love of God, right? I know that this is right because he said it's right. But also, part of that is becoming restored and reconciled with that person. One of the things that helps me, if you want me to share, helps me forgive other people is going to confession. So going back to the thoughts about, those who have been forgiven much can forgive. I feel like that practice, and I'm not going weekly, and I would like to go more often, but just like coming before God and sort of taking account of what you've done, all of your sins, it really helps me get perspective of actually what do I need to be forgiven for, and how have I also contributed to some of the crap in my life.
Yeah.
I really feel that helps me get perspective, feel grounded about it. And when you feel that, okay, I just lied to someone the other day, so I'm angry at this person for lying to me, but I've just done that. I think a lot of the time we forget that what we hold grudges for people about are things that we probably have done at some or other time in our life.
Yeah. I think it's coming back to that journey thing of when we're trying to understand metaphysical things, we can start with for lack of a better word, a dumb sentence that is true. And then we can do all the research around it, learn all the metaphysical jargon and philosophical language, and come back to the point of actually that dumb sentence is true, but I know now why.
Yes, yeah.
And this is the frustrating thing with faith, is you can do the right things with the wrong understanding and still be as good as the person that has the deeper understanding and does the right things.
Yeah, that's so true.
It is so frustrating.
Yeah.
I remember when I was doing my religious studies degree, I was talking, I think it was to my mum, about some religious philosophical topic, and I was like, this is what it is and this is why it's true. And my mum was like, yeah, I think I knew that. I'm like, no, you didn't, because you don't understand that these saints said this, and this church father quoted this. It's like, you don't know that, so you don't know.
All the research.
But she did know, and she knew. And this is the beautiful and frustrating thing is, and like coming back to that phrase, seek truth where there is truth.
Yeah.
Is truth is real, and it's God. It's what sustains being. And so if you're doing something that is good, there will be truth in it. Now, if you're doing it incorrectly, there's going to be bits around the edges, and that's why you can look at like religions, like even Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, whatever, and you say, oh, there's truth there. There is truth there.
Yeah.
Like there are numbers, but that's not a mathematical equation. But the numbers are right.
That's so true.
And like so, when we're looking to forgive, we can get so lost in the details that we like. The phrase we're talking about is like, do you forgive because that's what you're supposed to do, or that's what you were told to do? So yes and no.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, I why am I supposed to? I eat healthy. Oh, that because you only eat healthy because you're supposed to. Well, yes, but I want to live a good life.
Internalize.
And so, in order to live a good life, I have to do certain things.
Yeah.
If you want to become a nurse, you have to do a degree. Oh, you're only doing a degree because you have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the degree.
The law.
I have to. And
I actually think this describes the whole narrative of the New and Old Testament, doesn't it? Like the Old Testament is very much about the law and about obeying God, and the New Testament is about doing things from the heart. Whereas I've thought about this a lot lately because I've been reflecting on childlike faith and what actually is it like compared to like adult-like faith, or I don't even know if there is an adult-like faith, but so the Old Testament, you've got Adam and Eve, and they're not children, but what's expected of them is childlike faith. And I've kind of narrowed it down to this definition of like what childlike faith is, right? So it's I think it's something like trust, obedience in the presence of a good authority. So like, so basically they had a good authority, and they could have used their reason to deduce that, right? And the good authority was God, and they knew he was good because he's created them, he's given them enough food to eat, just all the conditions are right for them to thrive. And so really they were expected to demonstrate childlike faith by just saying, hey, yes, we will obey you. You are a God of yes, because you've said yes to probably thousands of fruit in the garden that we can eat, and just no to one of them. And so the childlike faith, though, is that we're going to obey you because you're a good authority, not because we truly understand all of what this means. And so I kind of, that challenges me, because I think, where in my life am I called to have childlike faith and not understand everything before I do it? And actually there's just so much stuff. And it sort of comes back to like, where in my life am I called to do something because it's the right thing to do, and not because every day I can articulate exactly why I should be doing it or I want to do it. Like I think there is a place for that childlike faith. Yes,
and you have moments like this. I remember at the end of one night shift, I went into a room and one of the patients was like, we're prescribing a certain medication. And they're like, why are they giving me this for this? And I said to them, look, if this was at the beginning of my shift, I could tell you clearly. But right now, all I can tell you is it works. Because I've seen it work, and this is what we do when you come in with this. Is that okay? And she said, yeah, that's okay. And so, even if you do have the clearest understanding, as you'll understand as a parent, you haven't slept for a few nights, and then someone comes up to you with a semi-complicated question. It could even just be, where's the keys? You're like, I can tell you that on another day, but right now, I'm not going to. And you just have to.
We do with our kids all the time.
You just have to trust me on this one, man. And I think parenting is such a great eye opener to. Well, I think humanity, but also the relationship with God and man, and how God's law and how God works, and the fact that we won't understand everything. It's like, you're not going to be understand why I'm telling you this. You just have to do it. I remember a friend, he was having his first child, and he said, I I think whenever my kid plays up, I'm just going to reason with him. I'm like, yeah, good luck. At what point's that going to start working? An unreasonable person, you know?
Yeah. You're not placing enough confidence in their desire to trust you as a good authority.
Or even understand the words that are coming out your mouth.
Yeah.
I was talking to some friends at work, and I was like, the most frustrating thing in the world, it was my 3-year-old at the moment, say, hey, can you pick that up and put that away? And he doesn't know what that is. He doesn't know what away means. He can just about grasp pick up. Yeah. And I'm like, the thing right there on the floor. No, not that one. No, pick it up. No, not that one. Yeah. You're standing on it. Right, now you've got to put it away. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. But you've got to go through the process.
Man. I know. It's God's sense of humor, right? It's like, see,
oh, man.
See, I told you. I do know best, and now you know best, and your child doesn't think you do. So. Yeah. Go figure it out.
But coming back to your music, one thing that I've really enjoyed about your songs is you are taking us on a journey of, well, like for example, with your song Eve, I was listening to that this morning and I was like, because it's kind of, there's a series point where there's like a series of questions where you're asking Eve these questions, and it's like you have to enter into that position of wonder, and then you have to go through a journey. And what we're hearing is, I've got this idea, actually, here's all these questions and a conclusion, all put into something that sounds very nice. But like, I try and squeeze as many words into songs as I can. I just want to make an argument for everything. Like, it's probably, I've got to kill some of my lines sometimes, but yes. But like, so that process, because you do it like, you know, with like Floodgates and obviously with this song on forgiveness, is it quite cathartic? Is it like, how does it affect you, like spiritually, emotionally? A, putting that on paper, B, releasing that to the world, because that's not just a, you know, as we were saying earlier, let's do Psalm 51 in the style of, you know, whatever band. This is something that I'm contemplating and been pondered by. This is something that touched me deeply, and I've spent the time to think through it deeply and articulate it in this particular way, and now I'm showing it to you, because this isn't just you know, a filler song. This isn't, you know. Yeah, it really was cathartic. I think it started with me having my own battles and insecurities as in my 20s, and feeling that partly it was because I was female. Also, becoming a mother is huge, and I think earlier on I thought it would just be like a hiatus in my plan of life. Right. But it was a total detour, you know, and just realizing that, oh, this is my vocation. It's not just like a side note. I think all of these things I've been wrestling with as a woman especially made me think. Sometimes you think, okay, what's the problem here? Who do I blame? I think we love to do that now in society. Like, we love to look at where we've ended up in life and who can we blame. And I'm not accusing anyone in particular, but like, I've definitely had thoughts of blame, thoughts of confusion of why certain things in life been really hard. Why has being a mother been so hard and felt so unseen? And I think when you get to that point of realizing you're struggling with something, it's important to sort of look out beyond yourself and think, is this a universal struggle? And I kind of realized that, that there is a universal struggle here, and women are often wrestling with the same issues. And where did it start? And I think sort of thinking about, how did it start, this problem that women feel unseen, that they feel like they have to grasp at knowledge and power to be worth anything? And so you can go back to like feminism, you can go back to Marx, you can work your way back down history, but actually I realize it starts with Eve, of course. And so it was kind of a genuine question and conversation. I'm like asking Eve, if I could sit and have a coffee with you, why did you do this? Like, we're not blaming you, right? But it's kind of like that process of sort of, why do we all struggle with the same thing as women? And I'm not saying men don't, and I'm not saying all women do, but
the song goes through the particularly feminine struggle of, Eve really felt that, well, it was the enemy who suggested that she's not good enough, right? God said she was good, he made her good. But he came along and said, you could be like God, you could actually be smarter and wiser than you are. So then you get insecure, you're like, I could be, I'm not enough. And so thus begins her search for not, and I think in various ways that is manifested throughout history. And it's such a curse for women because we already have, goodness, and we have intelligence, and we have influence and power in our own way. It's just that when we believe we don't, we start looking for it in the wrong places. So yeah, that was what the song was about. And it concludes in the final line with reflection on parenthood. And so like, I have a child, Eve, I know you had a child, and when was it you realized that he was perfect? And we look at our children, right? And I know as a mom, I've realized, wow, I don't need anything from my child. Like maybe later on I'll be like, oh, it'd be good if you could get a PhD, but in their most innocent form, we just delight in them. When they're 1 and 2 years old, we love to watch them play. We just love to enjoy their presence and to teach them things, and just for the sake of delighting in them. And so I'm asking Eve, and I'm asking myself, when did you accept the gaze of God? When did you accept that was enough? I'm getting emotional, but
no, I mean, because these are strong questions, man. These are going deeper, and it's also in these questions, like you interest is like, you ask them to Eve, but you're not blaming.
Yeah.
But those questions do strip something away from you.
Yes. Yeah.
And because they are an attack, it's like, because if you're saying, when did you realize this? It insinuates a point when you didn't realize it. And once you've realized the beauty of a child in its essence, in its being, the thought of not being able to see that, or people not being able to see that, is painful.
Yeah.
And I thought it's super interesting because for a second I was like, oh, it reminded me of that Mary Did You Know?
Oh yeah.
But you're not talking about Mary, you're talking about Eve.
I wanted to do one about Mary after that, but yes.
But you're talking about Eve's son.
Yeah.
And Eve's son is Cain and Abel. That A, they're just blokes. B, Cain's not a very nice bloke.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so you're just looking at a child.
Yeah.
With Mary, it's like you're looking at the savior of the universe, and that's of course you would realize Jesus is perfect because he is. But when did you realize that this just pure creation, not divine and creation? When did you realize that this? And I was thinking of my own kids, and I think something that I've realized is a bit of a biohacking superpower for me. I'm naturally extroverted, so I'm naturally turned towards others. And I work in a field where constantly seeing other people. We have hundreds of people come through our department every day, and I work with over 300 people. And I've managed to train myself that whenever asked, "How are you?" I say, "Fantastic," and in that moment, I feel fantastic.
Wow.
And
manifesting.
It is because I'm being spoken to by another person. That person is willing to engage with me, and I've got two choices there. I can either, I suppose, three choices. I can make no change. I can make the things go downwards, make things worse, or I can make things go better. And it came from a realization when I first started working as a nurse. People say, "How are you?" And they go, "I'm busy." And then everyone go, yeah. And everything would be down.
The downward spiral.
But then I realized, it's like, if I said, "Brilliant, fantastic," people would stop and go, "Oh wow, I've not heard anyone say that before.
Tell me more."
And then it's like, well, and I articulated this to my boss. It's like, well, see, I have a benefit that you don't have, in that I get to work with you, but you're with you all the time. So you just get used to it.
Yeah.
And she was like, I've never heard anyone say something like that before. But coming back to what we're saying is like, when did you realize that this little baby's perfect? It's like, you can still do that today. The guy you work with, he was created by God, or she was created by God, and
that's, I guess, what I'm hoping to do for women listening is like, hey, when are you going to realize that the way that you delight in your child is not even as cool as the way that God delights in you, and doesn't need anything from you. Of course, he wants, and that's my other big, I just want to write a book on this, but I want the title of the book to be God Does Not Need You.
Oh, wow.
And then the subtitle to be More Than That, He Desires You. And just this whole idea that God needs something from us for us to be worthwhile. And just, that he sees us as our children. He delights in us. We get a glimpse of that as parents, delighting in our kids. And we need to accept that the best thing we could do with our day is spending time with him and letting him delight in us. So yeah, not to say that we can't do anything of use in life and that women can't go out and achieve things. It's just that when we're motivated by that belief that we're only useful when we're achieving stuff, that sets us on the complete wrong path. So
even so, like the superpower you have, much like the Pharaoh's wife, is that you do delight in somebody else. She delighted in the baby that was Moses, and therefore saved his life, nurtured him, and grew him into. You can speak that. You can speak God into people's lives.
Yeah, that's right.
In the darkest areas, you can be the light, not coming from you, but coming from God. And there's a scripture I've been quoting over and over again recently. It's Ecclesiasticus. I think it's 22:15-16, and it's the Lord has put good and bad before you. You can choose which one you take.
Life or death.
It's all on you. Like, everything is there waiting for. So, like, I can go into work feeling like with a down spirit, and that's on me. But in doing that will bring everyone else down. I can go in with a high spirit, and it's not doing anything specifically. It's not administering medication. It's not, escalating a patient that's getting unwell, but what it is doing is it's not bringing people down. It's creating an environment of creativity, of love, where Jesus is there. And so we can bring that in, but that can only come from, much like forgiveness, that has to come from a place where you are tapping into that.
That's so true.
So I'm fantastic, but that's because God has made me fantastic.
Yeah.
And he wants me to
be fantastic. I'm going to start using that.
Please do. I
always felt like I've got to be authentic, and I'm just going to explain. Yeah, my day's busy. We've got this and it's pretty hard, and you always end up in a little complaint spiral.
Well, because what I found is, whenever you say I'm fantastic, and you can't say I'm fantastic, but like if you say like I'm fantastic, then when someone asks you, you can always think of something. It's like, I'm fantastic. Why? Well, because I'm talking to you, and I think you're brilliant. Or because, I've got 4 kids at home. You can always think of a reason to be grateful, to be fantastic.
Yeah.
But you have to decide you have to choose it.
That's right.
And it sounds a bit woo-woo and
that comes before you say the thing. It comes before you say, I'm fantastic, right? It's like a state of mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think it's definitely something I've fostered, and it's grown. It started from... My initial point was, I'm not going to say anything negative, but I'm not going to lie either. So if someone's like, how are you? It's like, sun is shining, birds are singing.
Yeah.
And that's good enough. I've got air in my lungs and I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's not negative. It might be more descriptive on how you're actually feeling. But then it went from, okay, now I'm going to say actually positive things. I moved into a different department and I wanted to be there, so I was happy to be there. So when I turn up at work, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But also because, I genuinely believe the people I work with are fantastic. Now, I'm sure there's some that are a bit sourpuss. But if you go to a sourpuss with good energy, again, it's like the forgiveness thing.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm forgiving because it's good. It's not, he's sour, I'm going to go a bit positive around him. It's like, if you're a positive person and you happen to come around a sourpuss, they will be less of a sourpuss.
Yeah, that's true. I know that for a fact.
But it has to start from your genesis, which has to be God, which has to be love, which has to be, I'm willing to understand that I'm desired.
Yeah, that's right.
And therefore I will desire others.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it is such a choice. Like you say, it's a broader choice than just sitting down doing affirmations or, reflecting on how God loves me. It's, I think in the context of women and families, I think, as we know, that one of the battles today is against marriage and the family. And I think that when we spend time as families like being too frazzled and overworked, well, there are so many things that go wrong in that environment, but one of the things we're depriving ourselves of is the ability to spend time with our children, to delight in them, and then through that for God to teach us how much he delights in us. So I think that's something I've reflected on lately. Is we've just started homeschooling our boys 2 days a week, and what can feel like a chore, and I'm doing it because I want to do it, it's the right thing, but it's still quite depleting emotionally or physically. It's starting to become more fulfilling, and I think I'm seeing those moments of like, actually, yeah, I'm delighting in these kids.
Yeah.
And I have more of a sense that God delights in me too, that he cares about these little things, like how you're doing your long division and, whether you skipped over that word in the book, or it's just, I feel like being closer to my kids teaches me so much about God, and I think that's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right.
Something that's like I won't say constant struggle, but like a background kind of niggle for me and Jess is we've decided to live a very specific life. I'm going to go work. She's going to stay home with the kids. That means our car is going to work. It won't work well. It means we're not going on too many holidays. Yeah. And it means that we are going to spend as much time as possible with our kids.
I love that.
And
I think
it's not
really courageous.
Well, thank you. I think I think everyone should do it. I think, from our perspective, it took us 4 years to be able to conceive. And that was 4 years of pain. And then the idea of, and now we're going to give our children away for 30 hours a week to somebody that we don't particularly know. And even if we know them, we don't know everybody in the class. And we don't know what they're dealing with. And it sounds a bit overbearing and controlling, but I love these kids.
Yeah.
These are my kids.
Yeah.
And also being shift work, like I work 3 days a week. If I was home 2 days a week and there was no kids around, it's like, well, what? I'm not being a father. And this is just how I perceive my life. But like being able to walk with these kids through education has been wonderful. Like Jemima's reading chapter books by herself now, and teaching them and seeing them teach each other, and it's not easy.
It's not,
but it's the exact life that we want to live. And there's that line, there will be joy in the morning. Like in your grief, there will be
in the morning.
There will be joy. And I think that's a line of like fully engaging with life is hard, but it's exactly where you're supposed to be. And when you are where you're supposed to be, then you'll find that a fulfillment that goes beyond, the paycheck, the promotion, etc. The humanistic success.
I agree. We've had a week of financial dramas. One of them is that our wall needs to be ripped out, and there's moisture ingress and lots of damage, possibly structural damage. So Tim and I just like, oh my goodness, we didn't even factor this. We didn't budget this in for the next few years at all. So Tim said something great yesterday, which reminded me, like we were both trying to pull ourselves out of the slough of despond. And, he's like, let's remember that our main call in life is, now I've forgotten exactly what it was. I want to get it right. But our main call in life is to bring our children to God. And, it's simple, but it's true. If there's nothing else that we do in life, I really believe that is our main call. Someone said, like, the only thing you can take into heaven is other people. Oh, wow. And, it's so good to remember that, right? Because so much of society at the moment is set up to divide us, to divide families. I hate saying society because it's like this entity that has that has no face and we can blame them. But we are society, and every time someone says to me that it's impossible to do life on 2 incomes, and I'm feeling like it is this week, I am really encouraged by families such as yourself and other families I know who they show us that it's not impossible. You know, that it's like there are sacrifices, yes, whether it's living further out or not even owning your own home until much later. And, you know, but it's not impossible if you believe that people are the priority. It's hard. You can't prescribe that to anyone else. But I sit here knowing that it's possible because of families like you and other families who are being courageous about that.
Yeah, it's a very firm stance to take, and especially, you know, from the broad scale, it's like, yes, you know, it's a beautiful picture, but you need to zooming on each character. It's a heavy weight to carry, and I think also, like, it's really taught me the roles of the family. So my job, like, I think one thing that I've realized recently is for lack of a better phrase, the inequality of the spouses, by which I mean
division of labor.
Well,
and
the blokes have one job, the women have another, and I think I went into marriage of like, we're going on an adventure together.
Yeah.
And we're going to do things together. And there are certain things that I find that I find just like things that just occur to me, and solutions that occur to me that would stress out my wife. Yeah. And the same from her perspective of like, I don't know how to be a wife, and she doesn't know how to be a husband. And so actually, realistically, I'm not going to be able to do life, share life with her. I'll do the dad part and the husband part. She can do the mum part and the wife part, and we'll do that together. Yeah. But like a tangible thing is like the finances. How much money's coming in?
Yeah.
You know, my wife's perspective is like, oh, it's fine, we're doing all right, it's okay. And I'm like, I'm not at the point I want to be. I want our family to be in a better place. We're not in a bad place, but I want our family to be in a better place, and that requires more money, which means something I'm going to have to work out. Yeah. I bring these problems to my wife, and she just, like, I can't deal with this. And, like, well, it's just natural for me. It's, like, I need to provide for my family, and this level isn't good enough. Like, just good enough isn't good enough.
Right.
You know, and so I want to excel in that area. And my wife, she's certain things that she won't let me touch. Like, she'll let me do some of the homeschooling, but like if she sees me doing the homeschooling,
she'll help you.
Homeschooling. But like, you know, so there's certain things like, actually, you know, this is how she's like, this is how I want the life to go in this area, and this is how. And so like there is that division of labor, and you know, you do see that. That genius that God had in creating us distinctly. But yeah,
that's right. I mean, it is unequal, and it's necessary for it to be that way. Otherwise, we'd actually be less efficient than we already are, where our family would be. You know, I'm spending a lot of time, more than I'd like to, but thinking about what food to feed the kids. The more I learn about nutrition, just the more of a load it is to like, oh, we can't have that food, we shouldn't have that food. It's big, and some days, a lot of days we're having bangers and mash, and 3 veg, and
can't beat it.
or just barbecued meat. Oh my gosh, that tastes so good. High heat, bit of salt, and that can be the main course, and then you kind of just make a salad if you can be bothered, or have the time rather. But yeah, there's a lot to juggle, and I know Tim doesn't carry the mental load that I carry, and I wouldn't want him to, because then he couldn't carry his load well. Yeah. So it's Yeah,
I see lots of posts about the mental load of a woman, and it's like, yeah, that's your job. Like those things aren't going to occur to me, and that's, sure. Again, going back to it, it's like if there is a bloke that is particularly good at organizing a house, that doesn't make him a woman. And if his wife happens to be like a CEO, doesn't make her a man.
I think we have a problem here, though. I know you think, well, that's your job. A lot of women would say, okay, so society's changed in the 80s. Most of us had parents who one income, mum stayed home.
Yep.
And now we've made it, for various reasons, we've made it so that we can only survive on 2 incomes. And that's partly, you look at how inflation's happened, the cost of living has risen. We've chosen to. In the 60s, we chose that we wanted to reduce the size of a family, which meant we could have 1.5 kids and women could get back to work. And so the family next door to us who only had 2 kids, mum was back at work, they could afford a nicer house, they moved up the street. And so if every family's doing that, well, suddenly the only way that anyone now can get an advantage is send their kids to work, which we're not going to do, right? But we do, yeah. So I think there is a problem these days where women feel like men should carry the mental load because they are now working as well as carrying the mental load, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
The solution is complex, but I think I look at men and I think, wait a minute, they're still working. My dad was working. They're not doing any less work. It's just that women are doing more work. And so we often insinuate that men are lazy and they're not pulling their weight, but they're not doing any less work. It's just that women have chosen to work more. Yeah. And so that means our attention's divided. We can't carry the mental load as well. So, but why are we blaming the men? We wanted this too. We wanted to be able to work.
I think you said women have chosen to work, and I don't think that's entirely true, because I think it was a decision that was made from like a governmental level of we can tax twice as many people. Like
that's partly the tax thing, yes.
And we can charge, banks are like, we can charge twice as much for a house because we can get 2 people working, so there's 2 incomes coming into the house. Yeah. So then society changed. This society changed. So now women's choice to work isn't a choice to work.
No, that's right. It really, very rarely is now.
And
when I say we, I'm talking about the original we. I think yes,
and there is
the
an
tax
element
thing.
that, and like there is that tension as well, because like I remember seeing this interview, must have been around the time like feminism was on the rise or something, and there's this woman that had gone through like a university education talking to a housewife, and at the time there was like very few women that actually went through an education, and she was talking to this housewife saying, I think it's important for women to get an education, and this housewife was like, who had no education, like maybe primary school but not necessarily secondary or above, she was like, no, I don't think it's right, and she had no good arguments because she didn't have an education where she was taught to critically think, and like and there we are now. And it was interesting because like, obviously my stance is not women shouldn't go to school, women shouldn't go to work, and there is that tension of like, so like women can do certain things, like there isn't a women do the dishes, men don't do the dishes, or like a woman's place is the kitchen and what have you. So like women can be CEOs and but maybe not firefighters. That's more of a physical job.
And there are plenty of women who should be CEOs.
Yeah, and so like so there is that tension of women can work, but like I feel like the choice to be a 2-income household is not a choice anymore.
It's not a choice anymore. I think originally it was more of a choice. I think what you're saying is correct, like the tax from the government. But the government can't continue in a direction that people won't comply with, like forever. So we also chose, like women wanted to be liberated in the 60s from the home. We chose to have fewer children and to be able to get into the workforce. And so I think we do have to look at that choice and see it for what it is. I love looking at 80s and 90s movies because all of a sudden you've got all the yuppies and you've got these busy shoulder-padded women getting ready for work and trying to make their kids a nice breakfast. And it's just like all the way through the movies, women work, women are busy. They've got a little bit of time for your kids, but really the kids are going to go off and have an adventure completely unsupervised. It's such a shift. It is fascinating to me. How have we ended up here? You look at Facebook comment threads and I saw someone saying, well, society should make it so that women don't have to work if they don't want to work. And I'm like, who's society? We are society.
What kind of world is that?
Like, who's saying they need to live in like grammar zone? Well, we are. Some people are saying they don't care and they don't need to live there. So like we make up all of those choices. I think
this is the beauty of the rise of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because, and this is where homeschooling fits into this perfectly. Like, because my dream is, I use this as an example, and it's not something I'm going to push on my kids, but I'm like, at 15, when our kids have a good handle on maths, English, and such like, it's like, okay, now go learn to be a hairdresser, because then now you can earn money, and now I can teach you how to run a business, which you'll never learn in school. And so you're learning how to be in the world. And then it's like, actually, I don't want to be a hairdresser. Okay, what do you want to be? Nurse, banker, whatever. It's like, okay, you save up the money to do the degree, and it's like you're in complete control. And so and then with especially with social media and stuff, it's like, oh, I can do a degree in philosophy, and I can earn money as a philosopher through a podcast, a social media channel. I can write a course that will help people solve problems, and I can sell it online. And so I think nowadays, the idea of a 2-house income isn't going to the factory or to the corporate office, but you can be more creative with it, and I really kind of appreciate that because of the growth of this world that we're in, I guess. Who knows how long that'll last with AI and whatever, but
who knows? I know we might all be eating beans together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting, but yes, I'd love to find ways to help my children just build real life skills. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've almost been talking for 2 hours.
Wow.
And so I think we should probably bring it to a wrap, otherwise we'll probably just go back in circles.
I looked at your other podcast, I was like, wow, 1 hour 40, whoa, 1 or 2 hours, I can't do that. But clearly we can.
Clearly we can. I feel like we could go on for a bit longer. I'm getting a bit tired personally, but we're not running out of things to talk about.
No, we're not. But it's there's no ventilation in this room.
Yeah, that's the main part. One day I'll have a studio. But if people want to find out, hear your amazing music and find out your social media wisdom, where can they find you?
Thanks for asking, Dom. So that you can go to Spotify. I am Rachel Wilson. There are hundreds of Rachel Wilsons in the world, but you can search for some of my song titles and get you there. My song out on Holy Week, March the 27th, is called I Forgive. So Rachel Wilson, I Forgive. Rachel Wilson, Surrender. Rachel Wilson, Waste Time on Me. Plenty of songs. Or I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok as Rachel Wilson Official.
Brilliant. And of course, on Curiously Catholic, the Curiously Catholic podcast, there is a Rachel Wilson on the Joe Rogan podcast. Not that Rachel Wilson, but if you one day, he is becoming Christian. But anyway, so thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time,
I can't wait to hear the finished product of on the 27th of March.
Me neither. So are you going to skip all the silences?
Yeah. All right. Brilliant.
Thanks.